For the first week of the underground, we mostly kept to ourselves. Lavender and Abel both needed time to heal, and it would take much longer than we could give them because the herd needed to be moving. We were already falling behind on that part of the plan, but Lavender and Abel's health had to be taken into account. We would make it to our cabin, calling out, asking Rano if any others were showing symptoms, and the answer was always no. Obviously, the contagion was just a ruse to keep the others from knowing of the nanos. We feared what would happen if the herd knew of them. We asked for word to be given to my father if he wished to travel and not to worry him over our health situation. The answer came back in the form of a letter, given in code only stallions could decode, though I suspect my father was not liking the chancing of it just the same. With his wording, needing more time perhaps if a smaller move is done in the future, love father and mother, I knew he didn't want eyes on the boys. But what if we weren't coming back? What if this was their only chance to come with us? William offered to take them at a later date. But I doubt my dad would have anything to do with someone outside his trust. Nevertheless, Rano gave slight reports on everyone's training and packing for the moves. The week came and passed. Lavender was done with bed rest, though she felt as though she could barely keep herself together. Firefly urged her to stay bedded, but she was determined to go to her children, and she knew as well as Abel they were slowing the herd down. Other herds would leave the week behind, but Colt left no one. Colt talked with William in this time, explaining his plan. William had agreed and was waiting to get back to his flying machine to go back to the sea people. I hadn't heard it all. I was visiting with T. Her belly was growing each time Firefly checked on her. Lavender would often sit in on the visit, saying something here or there, but for the most part resting. She was not her normal cheerful self. She seemed tired beyond any time I had known her. T was quiet, giving very little to go on, probably to not give too much away. If only she realized she already had slipped up. What was she so afraid of? What was she hiding? Colt was back to the norm. For the most part, after a couple of days, though the bruising was still there, Abira and Henry were of great use in mapping out Aeon Villa to the best of both could remember of it. Abira had been much younger, and things had changed, but still he knew of a few things Henry did not. And there were the children. Reem was so thrilled to see her father and mother hugging them tightly, though Abel was trying to hide his frailness. Even Reem, as little as she was, could have knocked him to the floor. Finally, a week had fully come. Colt looked from the hut. Firefly says she believes it is over. It was but a horrible case of food poisoning. Rano, I thought, would be one not to give up his placement easily. He was in the place he always wished to be, looked to Colt. I welcome you back, my stallion. We are all thrilled to know it is over. And that you may watch over us once more. Odd enough, in this time, Abednego had finished his work, for the most part, on Abel's new hut. Once the news was it wasn't contagious, everyone pitched in to fill it with their hut's possessions and more. Abel was taken into account during the designing. Everything was just much, much larger, but still capable for Lavender to live without accommodations for her height. They all knew the move would be tomorrow, but it was something of a ceremony to encourage growth and strength to the household. Colt let Abednego get back to his duties. He too was a bit annoyed with the idea of us leaving just after the fact of it being finished. But Colt knew there were greater things he would accomplish. He had him start on a new weapon that Colt had designed. It was rather secret. During this time, Henry had told William to take his wife to the Lion Kingdom, and to send his apologies on the confusion of it all. The time that had passed up top, the men were trained hard. Even in the short amount of time, they had started to bulk up more. There was a newfound brotherhood amongst them. I hate to admit it, but Rano had done fine work. But Abel, at war with himself over it all, feeling too weak to participate in the training, though no one gave him a hard time over it. But now that he was showing some signs of healing, he really should have used a cane. But weakness isn't permitted in nature. He would become a target eventually. If he didn't find a way to heal, but he was slowly getting weaker from the nanos, for he seemed to eat little as if his empty pit had been filled. It was like trying to find the perfect moment that his fighting would be lowered, and Colt rest. It was time to remove his nanos as well. I was so nervous for it all this time, done in the darkness of the night in their new hut, very much soundproof thanks to Abednego. Colt laid beside Abel in the ginormous bed. Henry had been somewhat missing, but apparently he was given different duties and practices to perform ahead of time. It wasn't hard for him. Colt was able to show him in his mind what he needed of him, and he could accomplish it rather easily, but it was still going to take everything from them both working together. Henry sat in a chair next to Colt. Abira watched next to me. The bed took up most of the free space. In the room, Abel looked to Colt. "Is there anything I should do to help?" Colt looked over to him. "We have you, brother. This will be quick, but you must trust us and hold still for it." Firefly came toward him with the piece of golden straw. Colt looked to Abel as he squirmed slightly. Colt stared him down. "I am telling you, you need to hold still. It's no more than a small splinter." Abel nodded, but I knew very well why he hated needles. We had seen much in our time as children in Hart's collection, and we had been through just as much. Needles were a tool of death or testing. It was something Abel could never take lightly. Abel turned his head, looking away as Firefly placed the straw in his arm. Lavender touched his head gently. "It's done, strong one," but he fainted, landing hard on the pillow. Firefly rolled her eyes. Never had she seen such a thing as a man being so afraid. Of a prick. This man had seen cuts and scratches way worse that didn't faze him, but a small needle could take him right out, and perhaps this would make it easier on everyone. Then she attached it to Colt. Henry was going to be like part of a magnet, just helping pull them but not gaining any. And it had been talked about getting rid of Henry's, and though he wished it done, he wanted to hold on to them until after Aeon Villa, just in case communication from a distance would be needed. And we all saw how it weakened Colt for a spell. It would be better to wait since he was in no immediate danger. We all took advantage of Abel's incapacitation, clearing his body the same way as Lavender's. Abel's body had become so weak mentally, it was handled easier than first thought. With the help of Henry, it was slow, but it was finally accomplished. Abel was still out, and we thought it best to let him continue to rest. After it was done, Henry looked to the children. "Colt, shall we remove theirs as well? It would only take moments." Colt looked to Firefly, then to the children. "Too young, they couldn't hold still for it." Henry looked to them. "Perhaps I misspoke, but I worry for them. I think I could manage it a different way, that, if you wouldn't mind me trying?" Colt sat to the edge of the bed. "It should be done. You're not wrong in it, but—" Firefly interrupted. "Perhaps he should try, Colt. It would make their lives less complicated." Colt looked to Henry. "What do you have in mind?" Henry looked to Colt as he laid on the bed. "May I demonstrate on you to show it more adequately? I assume you would want to try it on you before the children." Colt nodded slightly in agreement as Henry put his hand on Colt's shoulder once more. Colt waited as Henry looked to him. "Did you feel anything?" Colt looked to him oddly. "No." Henry smiled. "You see, I was thinking the nanos are rather small. Not even an eye can fully see them without help, and it had me thinking as I practiced, what if I could remove them through a hair follicle, using it as the bridge to me? No cutting, it doesn't matter of movement, and it's safe. It was actually to the great help of Dr. Furnius that I was able to figure it all out." Firefly looked to him. "How did you learn this? It could have saved us some troubles with Abel." Henry smiled slightly, putting his hand to the back of his neck. "Well, I can only do small amounts. Perhaps the children, but Abel I could only help the way I did. His is fighting. I can't control them as easily, but the children, well, they have a lot less than Abel's." Colt looked to the children. "If you can do it safely for them, then do so." Henry went to our little foal sleeping, taking his hand so softly so not to wake the children. He knelt on one knee, looking down. He stayed in this position for a few minutes. He let go of our son's hand. He's free of them now. I let out a breath of relief. This was truly a blessing if he could manage it for all the children. Then he went to Lyra, and this time he touched the top of her head. In less time, he looked to no one. She is freed of them. He looked to Lavender's children, then to her. "Do I have your permission?" he asked. Lavender was in tears at the thought as she nodded. He went over to Reem, looking her over, placing his hand on her face. His face started to sweat slightly. As he let go of her, he wiped his brow with his kerchief. He took a breath, straightening himself. "She is now without them." Next were the triplets, slightly still stirring. He took a breath. One by one, he touched the top of their heads, and after the third was done, he held to his head slightly. As Firefly pulled him a chair, but he shook his head no, they are without them and safe now. If you excuse me, my friends, I think I will go rest. I bid you all a fine good night. Lavender, as weak as she was, stood from Abel's side, going over to him as his back was turned to leave. Grasping at him, putting her hand on his back shoulder blade. Thank you. Henry slightly turned, partially smiling. It was my pleasure to do this. Now you must get some rest as well, dear Lavender. As quietly as he could, he left. I helped her to the seat as Colt tried to stand. Firefly pushed him back down. Nope, not again. You fainted with Lavender. I dare say what will happen for what you did with Abel. Abera looked on. I have to agree. Colt looked to them. I'm fine. I am learning how to handle it better. Henry carried a fair share of it. Firefly put the blanket upon Abel and Colt. Just the same, bed rest till morning. Colt looked to her. You don't expect me to sleep here? Firefly looked to him in a matter-of-fact way. Why, yes, I do. Lavender can sleep with Vita for tonight, and I will take care of the children's needs if any arise. I have had my rest, and now all of you need yours for the move tomorrow. I looked to her. What about tea? Firefly looked to me. It is complicated with her. All the others have given birth. She is months away from it, hopefully, so with Colt's permission, once everything is done in the move, my 2 ladies shall be using this hut set up for her, and she will stay here till the child is born. And I shall leave tomorrow as well to tell my tribe of our own move to the gates of Aeon Villa, and we shall meet you there.